Hello and welcome to this edition of Talk Vietnam. You've just seen a clip created by the Vietnam Swans to promote Aussie rules, one of Australia's signature sports, to local Vietnamese. Now, one of the driving forces behind this footy club is a man named Phil Johns, and we're very lucky to have Phil in our studio today for him to take us through the experience of bringing such an Australian sport to Vietnam and how he's keen on seeing the level of friendship between Vietnam and Australia increase and improve over the years through the sport.
When coming to Vietnam, Australian Phil Johns brought with him his great love for Australian rules football. He later founded the Vietnam Swans Australian Rules Football Club with the aim of increasing Australian rules popularity among a wider community. With the fame the club gained later, Phil Johns and other members were able to organize campaigns to raise funds to support children in local orphanages. The club also raised thousands of US dollars to fund swimming class in Da Nang, which have helped reduce the rate of drowning among children in Vietnam.
Hello, Phil.
How are you, Zoom?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
Going very well today, thanks.
Thank you very much for taking the time to join us on our Talk Vietnam today. Now, my producer, when she told me that you were coming to the show, she told me that you can speak a little bit of Vietnamese, so impress us.
Impress you? Well, I've been taught by many Vietnamese, so here we go. Ma, hai, ba, yo!
Wow, wonderful, awesome. So you've got your, time to learn a bit of Vietnamese. Now, not only do you learn how to speak Vietnamese, but you've gotten closer to the Vietnamese people, and your experience here has been kind of heightened because of your introducing the sport Aussie rules to Vietnamese people. Can you give us a little bit brief introduction about what Aussie rules is?
Aussie rules was invented in Australia, and back in 1858, so it's a bit over 150 years old.
Wow.
And what surprises a lot of people is nobody knows about Aussie rules outside of Australia, but it's actually gets the third highest attendances of any domestic sporting league across the world, with 36,000, even beating English Premier League. So your Manchester Uniteds and so on, they're just down at 35,000.
Wow, that's a lot of people. Tell us a little bit about the popularity of this sport in Australia. Where is it, mainly based, or where is it most popular in Australia?
The southern part of Australia, and the Australian Football League is based in Melbourne, which is the southeastern corner of Australia, and then going along the southern coast, you've got South Australia and Western Australia, and that's a very strong belt of Australian football. I
understand you're from Melbourne, the home of
the spiritual
Aussie
home
rules.
of Australian football, that's right.
Now, what is the main objective of Vietnam Swans?
To come together and play, and there's many levels to what the Vietnam Swans are about, and of course we started the Hanoi Swans in 2003. In 2007 we moved down into Saigon and became a national team, and now we've got players from Vung Tau and Vinh Nguyen and Da Nang, Hoi An and so on. It's a way of staying connected with our roots back in Australia, and then to be able to go and play a game, it's just really good. And it's good exercise and so on. And then to be able to play international matches, to go off around the region and play Thailand, Indonesia, Hong Kong, China, Japan, it's a great way to travel around the region also. Because we're playing this funny, curious signature sport of Australia, people stop and notice us. And through that, we're able to leverage and help out with some of the other community initiatives like the swimming and the orphanage, which we'll talk about later. And I should point out that that's not just for Australians. The Australians are the core group, but we pick up all sorts of nationalities and Vietnamese as well.
Yes. Now, before we go on with talking more about Aussie rules, let's take a look in the following clip about what the Swans have to offer to Aussie rules fans here in Vietnam.
Every weekend, Members of the Vietnam Swans Australian Rule Football Club gather for matches like this. Today, Phil Jones, the national president of the club, is not playing due to injuries suffered in the previous game. But on the field, the rest of the team are competing as fiercely as always. Established in 2003 in Hanoi, the team later went national, attracting a large number of Australian rules enthusiasts, both expats and Vietnamese alike.
I'm an Australian, so I played a lot of footy in Australia. So I came over to Vietnam and typed AFL into Google, and I found the Vietnam Swans, and I've been playing for about 2 months now. Football is a way of life in Australia, and I guess this is just it's a big representation of Australia and Vietnam, and it's what we love to do, play footy.
Em thì thường xuyên thì chơi đánh cầu lông và đá banh thôi, còn chơi bóng Swans thì đây là lần thứ hai chơi. Thấy rất là lạ và ý tưởng thành lập vào đội bóng Swans tại thành phố Hồ Chí Minh này rất đặc biệt. Hy vọng rằng đội bóng sẽ mỗi ngày một phát triển.
Since its establishment, the club has attracted dozens of expats in the city. The club has also participated in many tournaments, competing with teams in the region. For many expats who love to improve their fitness, want to travel, and hone the competitive edge, the Vietnam Swans is a great choice, and Phil Jones, among others, plays a key role in making that happen.
I've been playing for 9 months since I first arrived in Vietnam. As soon as I got here, I looked up the Swannies on the website and got in contact with some of the key members, and they were really welcoming when I first got here, and I haven't looked back ever since. It's been really good. Phil Jones is the president. He's the one that's responsible for keeping everything together. Without him, I think the Swannies wouldn't be what they are.
Being more than a place for expats to meet up, the club has also organized a range of charity activities. Hundreds of thousands of US dollars have been raised to support disadvantaged children.
There's a lot of charity and pretty much still work within the Vietnam Swans. It's great, you know, you come out and play footy every week, but it's also, you know, a social community, you know, and it's a bunch of guys who, you know, play together, and I guess, you know, it's definitely more than football.
While championing the burning spirit of sportsmanship and fulfilling the responsibility towards the society for its members, Vietnam Swans represent a positive Australian cultural activity in the country with a growing expat community.
Now, who are the players of Vietnam Swans at the moment?
Predominantly, they are Australians who are working and living over here. A lot of us are in pretty influential positions, you know, heading up, you know, major corporates like the Commonwealth Bank, senior positions in at the Australian Embassy, and so on. So that's at the top end, and then you go through all the different levels, and you've got volunteers, you know, volunteer teachers and so on. And it's a real mix of people, professions.
Wow, so a very diverse group. Yeah.
Exactly.
How often does a match take place?
We probably average a match about every 6 weeks, and those matches tend to be, or they are the international matches.
Aussie rules is still kind of, you know, not that popular yet here in Vietnam. Not many people know of it. What can you do to kind of capture a wider audience here in Vietnam?
That's a big question. What we find is that with the students, we run training programs. AusKick is what we call that. And we run that both in Hanoi and Saigon, and that's an introduction to Australian football. And when there are special events like Australia Day events, we will put on a special exhibition type match and involve lots of people. When just recently in Hanoi and Saigon a month ago, the Austrade Commission, they were putting together an exhibition for Australian education. So a lot of education suppliers from Australia were over here, and the Vietnam Swans put on Aussie rules clinics so that all the Vietnamese students turning up got to experience it.
Wonderful.
And they love it. You know, that because it's a funny shaped ball, it's not the nice beautiful round ball, and when you try and bounce the elongated ball, if you don't bounce it properly, goes everywhere.
Yes.
And the Vietnamese just giggle their heads off. They think it's so funny.
So you do have like certain events in order to raise people's awareness of, the existence of such a club here in Vietnam, so that more people get attuned to that. Now, apart from helping with, people to just stay fit in general, for people out there who haven't known much about Aussie rules, what would being a member of the Vietnam Swans or the club in general be, what would it offer to them?
It would offer them an awesome time, an awesome experience. So you've got the fitness, but that's not all. You've also got the camaraderie of it's very much a social club as well, and like they become your best friends around town because you've got so much to do with each other. And what the club tries to do for our members is to create an experience that you can't easily get as an individual.
Another very important objective of the Vietnam Swans is to give back to the community, and as Phil mentioned, one of the program is actually helping with swimming education programs, and this has been going on for the last few years now in order to help towards the efforts of reducing the cases of drownings here in Vietnam. We'll follow one of the swimming classes that Vietnam Swans have been conducting in Hoi An town in the following.
Drowning is one of the main causes of child death in Vietnam. There have been over 200 losses due to drowning in 2012. A large part of the reason for such a high death rate is the lack of swimming skills. In an effort to prepare children in Vietnam and Hoi An in particular, Swim Vietnam has organized swimming classes in Hoi An since 2004. Vietnam Swans are an active supporter of this program.
Vietnam Swans have been involved in helping find sponsorship and occasionally some volunteers for the swimming classes. And it started because we were worried about the number of people who were drowning in Vietnam. And Vietnam has a very big coastline and a lot of water in the canals and the rivers. And we thought we could help by finding some programs that support swimming lessons and swimming activities in Vietnam.
Swim Vietnam offers free swimming classes not only to children but also local adults.
OSWIM Swim Teachers course is the national swim teaching qualification in Australia, and what we do is volunteer OSWIM presenters come over and run the OSWIM course so that we can have a lasting sustainable program. We want to teach local people to train the children, which is a much better model than having foreign volunteers coming over to teach the children themselves. This way the program will be able to last and continue into the future, because now we have enough local teachers to run the program.
The Swim Vietnam courses consist of 18 lessons over 6 weeks. The lessons focus on basic swimming skills, safety measures, as well as emergency skills. There is a test at the end of each course, and those that fail may take a supplementary course, while other children who excel may take more advanced courses.
Con học nổi ngửa, nổi ấp, rồi lướt nước ấp, bơi ếch. Khi bơi được rồi rất là thích.
Cái cảnh quan sư phạm hồ bơi đá có chắc rất là thích. Thứ hai nữa là giáo viên dạy hướng dẫn rất là nhiệt tình. Về nhà như vậy là cháu ăn ngủ rất là ngon. Học hành rất là đảm bảo.
Swim Vietnam does not only focus on children in the urban areas. The organization also aims to provide help in the rural areas of Hoi An.
Tất cả anh em dạy bơi ở đây anh em đều sẵn sàng hỗ trợ, không những riêng cho Hội An, mà hiện giờ chúng tôi đang mở rộng ở Duy Xuyên, khả năng sắp tới sẽ Điện Bàn, Đại Lộc, và hiện giờ ở Duy Xuyên chúng ta đã có một số anh em đang đứng điểm này đó và mở 2 hồ bơi đó và hoạt động suốt một năm rồi. Và hiện giờ Hội An là chương trình chúng ta mở thêm một hồ bơi ở dưới phường Cẩm Nhao để mở rộng chương trình ra, và hướng đấy thì khả năng vô tới Thăng Bình.
Over the past 8 years, Swim Vietnam has trained over 3,500 children and over 60 Vietnamese trainers. Funded largely by Vietnam Swans, the organization also supports local elementary schools to build standardized swimming pools.
Now, Phil, how significant do you think is it to kind of support these swimming education programs?
I think it's very significant for a number of different reasons. First of all, in Vietnam, more children die from drowning than road accidents. Over here, there's the huge dimension where you can save lives by supporting these programs. So that's a great thing for us to be involved in, and we think there's great synergies there. And also I'd like to point out that since we have been involved with the swimming, it's amazing, you know, people come to you with their stories of what they've seen here in Vietnam, and you know, there are some tragedies that are happening out there everywhere all the time. And one of our guys down in Vung Tau, Timmy, he was walking along the beach, and up there was a crowd of people, and as he got closer he realised that there was somebody who'd been dragged out of the surf. It was a young boy, and he got closer and he saw that they were trying to do CPR on the boy, but instead of doing the CPR on the heart, they were doing CPR on the stomach.
Oh,
which isn't going to help start the heart.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You know, speaking to somebody else, the Australian International School, they've recently come on board as a sponsor of the Vietnam Swans. And one of the things that they're particularly passionate about as well is the swimming. And one of the people at AIS, Australian International School, he talks about back in Australia when he was 20, and his father, he pulled his father out of I forget whether it was the swimming pool or the ocean, and he was trying to do CPR on his father, and eventually the ambulance turned up and they pushed him aside, and then they went whack onto his heart to try and get the heart started.
That's
you know, like it's a serious business. So pumping on the stomach,
it's not
going to work. Pumping softly on the heart, it's not going to work. And when you look at Swim Vietnam, as your clip is just showing, you know, they've been going since 2008, and they've had 3,000 children go through their school in Hoi An and in some of the outer areas. And they've now trained up 62 teachers, Vietnamese teachers, to help go and spread the message. And another thing that's really interesting is that Swim Vietnam is about to send 2 Vietnamese guys to Perth in Western Australia to get AusSwim qualified. And so that will enable those Vietnamese guys to train Vietnamese trainers.
Supporting like initiatives like the one with swimming education classes, I understand that Vietnam Swans holds different kind of fundraising activities. Is that right? Can you tell us about these activities and what they entail?
Our biggest activity that we hold to support swimming initiatives, swimming programs, is the annual Swing to Swim Charity Golf Day, which is played at Montgomery Links in Da Nang, which is next door to where Swim Vietnam is located in Hoi An. And the proceeds of that go to Swim Vietnam and Swim Safe, which operate out of Da Nang. And in the first year we raised $25,000.
Wow.
And this year we did the event again and raised some more money, so in 2 years $35,000.
That's wonderful.
And importantly, we're now establishing a tradition. So next year it's the 3rd year. And a little footnote to that, the Swing to Swim Charity Golf Day, was last year one of the guys who played golf was a Vietnamese gentleman, and we had a football jumper from Australia, an Australian football jumper. So as a Vietnamese gentleman, he's not going to care about the West Coast Eagles, who the jumper belonged to. But anyway, he bid $1,200 for the jumper and won it. And we're saying,
what?
That's amazing, you know, very, very generous. Thank you very, very much. Terrific. How come? And he said that 2 months earlier he'd been in Melbourne for some golf tournament, and he just couldn't believe the amount of energy and enthusiasm in Melbourne for Australian football. And so then when he came to the golf day at Montgomery Links, he's thinking, well, if Australian football's involved in this, they've got an Australian football jumper, the money is going to support swimming initiatives, helping to save young Vietnamese children.
Why not?
$1,200.
That's just very wonderful that that was so successful, and $35,000 so far, and continuing next year.
Getting bigger and better.
Mm-hmm. Do you hold other kind of fundraising events as part of Vietnam Swans?
In Hanoi, our Hanoi chapter, with the local sporting clubs, so it's the netball and the rugby and the Gaelic guys, they hold a Battle of the Codes fundraiser, and so they've raised several $1,000s, and that's become an annual fundraising event as well. And we also have a match down in Vung Tau where we raise some money.
Now, I know that some of the funding from your fundraising activities also goes towards an orphanage in Vung Tau. Tell us about this orphanage and how this other community initiative started for Vietnam Swans.
That one comes out of our Anzac friendship match. So we play an Anzac friendship match in April. And Anzac Day falls on the 25th. We play on the weekend. Anzac Day is Australia's Remembrance Day for our fallen in different wars over 2 centuries that Australia has been settled by white man. And we host this Anzac friendship match. What we're saying is that we're not talking about one country. We're talking about all countries, all fallen. Pain and suffering lasts long after the conflict is finished, and we want to acknowledge that, as I say before. That's on the one hand. Then, on the other hand, we're trying to turn it into a celebration. So we're trying to say, this is Vietnam 2012. This is a magnificent, happening country. It's a country that has welcomed all of us visitors to the country, something that we feel very, very humble about. And we want to do something that's positive. One of the big things about the orphanage that they talk about is that it's not just the physical buildings. What it is, it's about creating the environment, the culture. It's about providing the love and support for these kids. And when people go to the centre, they talk about how well-fed, clean, happy, healthy looking these kids are. And compared with some of the kids on the street, there's a noticeable difference.
The Center for Social Protection of Children in Vũng Tàu City is one among several institutions that receive support from the Vietnam Swans. Glenn Nolan, an Australian living in Vũng Tàu, is today paying a visit to the center. On behalf of the football club, he sometimes arrives here to see how the kids are doing or whether the center needs any more help.
The Vietnam Swans are doing a Learn to Swim campaign. Also the local orphanage here for the protection of children. They're a recipient. We started helping them a few years back, and then we do fundraisers for them to try and help them out. They're running, I think, 5 orphanages in one. They find it hard to make, try and get things, so we try and assist. And with the Vietnam Swans, they're very, very good at fundraising. The expat community here is here in Saigon. We get there and try and raise as much as we can.
After adopting her son from the Center for Social Protection of Children in Vũng Tàu 4 years ago, My Hương, a Vietnamese Australian, decided to stay with the center. Here, Hương and other staff have been trying their best to help disadvantaged children. and the support from individuals, organizations such as Vietnam Swan is much appreciated.
I met Phil a couple of years ago now with the Swannies, and he was very impressed with the work of our centre. So we're very grateful to the Swannies for the support they give our centre. I think it's wonderful that they're using sport as a tool to raise money for charities in Vietnam.
Lòng nhân ái của người ta vô đây người ta giúp đỡ rất là nhiều. Thì nói chung là nhà nước mà nuôi thì tôi thấy nó cũng không đủ đâu, nhưng mà cũng nhờ các nhà hảo tâm, các nhà tài trợ thì thấy các trẻ trong đây thì nó tương đối là ổn định. So với lại ở đâu thì mình không biết, chứ ở đây là mình thấy là các trẻ ở trong đây là tương đối ổn định.
This center is home to over 70 children who are AO victims, HIV carriers, or those suffering from fatal diseases and deformities. However, the love and care from the center staff and donors are the great encouragement to help the children overcome the unfortunate situations.
With the funds that you've been able to give to the Center for Protection of Children in Vũng Tàu as well as Long Hai, they have been able to build a new motorbike workshop area as well as new toilets, as well as beauty training areas. It's another very meaningful initiative of Vietnam Swans. Now let's move on a little bit to talk about your life here in Vietnam. Going back to the very beginning, when did you first come to Vietnam and what brought you here?
I came over here in September the 30th, 2003.
2003.
It was a Tuesday, and on the Saturday preceding, it was the Australian Football League Grand Final at the Melbourne Cricket Ground, and I had to go to that with 100,000 other people before I could travel overseas to Vietnam. And I came over here for 3 months initially, and back in Australia I'd studied my Master of Business with a Vietnamese friend, Mr. Dung, and he'd moved back to Vietnam and was living in Hanoi and had his own consultancy business set up. His business partner was the General Director of Vietnam Football Development, which was part of the Vietnam Football Federation, and they did all the marketing and sponsorship for the 2003 SEA Games.
SEA Games, it was the SEA Games back then.
Yeah, with the famous water buffalo logo.
I remember those days.
Yeah. And so anyway, as part of that, I went out to Miễn National Stadium.
Yes.
And I sat in the crowd with 45,000 people watching Vietnam, who unfortunately came second to Thailand. Yeah, but it was just incredible. 45,000 people, 40,000 people at Miễn, compared with 3 months earlier, I'm at the Melbourne Cricket Ground with 100,000 people. I'm going, my goodness, these Vietnamese, how loud are they? You know, and just the excitement and the passion and the energy and everything. And it was just an amazing experience. It felt like the equivalent of 4 Australian football grand finals, all combined into one package out there at Miễn. And then going back into Hanoi afterwards and not being able to move on the streets because of motorbikes and people banging everything and bandanas and stickers.
You got your little, taste of Vietnamese passion for sports, especially for football.
Absolutely, it was just amazing. So anyway, that was a big reason for me being hooked on.
Wow,
on
so
Vietnam.
you've been here like almost 9 years now. What has kept you here?
Well, it's got to be the Swannies, the Vietnam Swans for sure. But Vietnam's just a great country to live in. It's such a dynamic, happening country. It's developing so fast. One of the things that I really enjoy about being here is to watch the country grow. You know, like to look at the changing cityscape with landmark buildings just appearing everywhere. You know, their signature developments. An entire city block gets pushed over to make this new building happen, and you know, it's extraordinary.
So what are you currently doing now?
Now I work for Corsair Marine We build sailboats, and our sailboats are fast and racy, and yeah, they're good for a bit of an adrenaline rush, and yeah, you can go cruising on them as well.
You've worked in consulting, property, real estate, and now to a sailing boat business. How do you see the business field or business environment here in Vietnam?
I think one of the exciting things about Vietnam is the workforce. You know, the youth, and along with that comes the energy and the enthusiasm, and wanting to learn, and wanting to try new things, and probably one area where we need to manage most tightly is in the quality control. To make sure that they're doing the staff are doing the things the same way all the time, because we build production boats, so we don't want variations.
Exactly.
And so we manage that, but that's just because the Vietnamese are just wanting to go.
Riding through Ho Chi Minh City's busy streets to get to work is the start of another ordinary day for Australian expat Phil Johns. This man spends most of his time in the office or at the workshop of Corsair Marine, an international company focusing on boat manufacturing. But whenever Phil has free time, taking a journey to discover the local cuisine is a favorite hobby.
Cà đá cốm tưởng.
Enjoying some Vietnamese coffee on the street isn't a bad choice for Phil too. Phil, every day is a journey, and even while he has yet to conclude his life journey, Ho Chi Minh City, in the mind of this Australian, is a special destination.
What do you like best about life here in Ho Chi Minh City?
I think what I like best is that every day you feel alive. Every day is different. You see something different. You see something that makes you laugh. You see someone that does something good for somebody else, and it makes you feel younger longer. It gives you some of that energy and enthusiasm that I was just describing in the Vietnamese. And I think that when you're with people, you reflect what they're like, and that's one of the things that I find very enticing and exciting about being over here.
You once said that every day for you here in Vietnam is like a journey. Can you tell us one of your memorable journeys?
One of my memorable journeys. One series of memorable journeys that I have that I really enjoy every day is doing the nothing things. The nothing thing when you go into a coffee shop and you order a coffee, or the nothing thing when you go into the convenience store, or the nothing thing when you sit down for a bowl of pho bo or something. You know, it should be just a nothing experience. When I go back to Australia, often in terms of professionalism, where the table was spotless and this happened and that happened and it was all perfect, and I get a smile from the person who's serving me. It's all very nice, but it's all very clinical, and I sometimes think that it misses that human element, and in Vietnam that human element is so strong and it's so there.
Do you ever get tired of the hustling, bustling, atmosphere of Ho Chi Minh City? It's a very vibrant, very beautifully developed city, but at the same time it can get really busy.
I don't consciously try to escape it. Sometimes I very much enjoy the hustle bustle. If it's getting too much, sometimes I might take an elevated position. When I stop and look at what the traffic's doing down below, I think, my goodness, you know, if some Australian traffic engineers came over here wanting to put traffic lights up, I don't know how you would do it. But over here, you know, the traffic just comes in and nobody stops, it just happens.
What is your favorite Vietnamese expression?
Oi, oi.
Your favorite local food?
Phở bò, but I'd have to say that the Vietnamese shop across the road from where I live sells the best chicken breast ever. But I don't know what the name of it is, and I don't see it anywhere else. But it is El Bonte.
What's the one thing you always wanted to do here in Vietnam but have never done?
I've still got to ride the motorbike along the northern border with China. The number of people I've spoken to have said that is the best trip they have ever done in Vietnam, and I haven't done it yet.
Yes. Your most embarrassing moment here in Vietnam?
Oh, mate. There was this time where I'd met someone and I'd sent a couple of text messages and so we're sort of organising a bit of a date. And so anyway, we organised this cafe to turn up to. And I get to the cafe and I see one person over there. He gives me a smile and I don't know who he is. And I go in and walk straight past him and go around looking for this person, and I can't see her. And I do another circuit and still can't see her. I go outside and sitting on the table is this same guy, and he's looking up at me, still smiling. Yeah. And then I go back inside, look around, I come back outside, and he's still smiling at me.
This is not going anywhere good.
I was like, oh.
It was a guy.
You're the guy I met sitting on a footpath having some Indian food. I just randomly met, and you know, like everyone swaps phone numbers everywhere every time, and I've for some reason somehow mucked up.
Oh no.
So I think I'm texting person A and texting going to person B, and person B's thinking he's got a date and I'm thinking I've got a date with someone else. So, mate, that was
awkward moment.
Yeah.
Will you continue to stick on this, you know, footy journey?
The footy journey is awesome. So, yeah, have to.
Yes,
it's just, it's exciting. It's happening. It's alive. It's real. And you know, there's such a unique set of circumstances here in Vietnam where we can do something, and I think it gives a lot of people a lot more meaning. And that stuff that we're doing with that Anzac friendship match, I think it's making a real difference in people's lives.
The group Vietnam Swans has become basically a bridge between Vietnam and Australia in so many aspects. Thank you so much, Phil, for joining us here on our show and sharing your stories and your passion for Vietnam Swans, and what it is that you guys are doing is amazing, and it contributes a lot to Vietnam as well as the Vietnam and Australia growing relationship. 40 years next year. We hope you all the best in your endeavors, especially in your life continuing here at Ho Chi Minh City.
Thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure to be here.
Thank you. And that wraps up our edition of Talk Vietnam today with Phil Johns, and also the story of Swans and Aussie rules here in Vietnam. We hope you've enjoyed the edition as much as I have, and we'll see you more next time here on Talk Vietnam. Goodbye.